Have you been struggling to keep your engagement rate up lately? I feel like for a lot of creators, we've seen a little bit of a dip in engagement over the past several months, and honestly, I feel like it makes sense. For so many of us, we've all been stuck at home for like the past more than a year now, scrolling endlessly on Instagram and TikTok, and it makes sense that for many of us, we've become kind of passive consumers of social media content, and I think creators are starting to notice that. The truth is, if you really want to get engagement on your Instagram content right now, you need to really go above and beyond in order to grab the attention of your followers and then actually get them out of that zombie scroll and actually comment and engage with you. So in this video, we are going to talk about strategies for doing just that. How can you really stand out from the crowd and actually get decent engagement right now in 2021? Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back, or welcome here if you're new. My name is Katie, and I post here on this channel every Tuesday and Friday. On Tuesdays, I share Instagram tips, just like this video, and on Fridays, I share fun lifestyle videos and vlogs. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you don't miss any of my awesome content. And speaking of awesome content, I wouldn't be able to produce all of the videos at the volume that I do if it weren't for sponsors. So I want to take a second and thank this week's sponsor, AppSumo. As you know, in addition to this YouTube channel, I am the founder of a social media marketing agency. We have clients that we help with their YouTube channels, podcasts, and Instagram. And because I am balancing a business and a YouTube channel, there's a lot of different apps and softwares that I need to use in order to get all of that work done. And that's where AppSumo comes in. AppSumo is a platform created by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. It's an online marketplace full of amazing deals on all of the best software that you need to run your business. You can find amazing deals on the software that you need to create content, manage your clients, keep your website secure, schedule your social media content, produce videos, and so much more. Pretty much anything that you need to do, you can find great software to do it and at an amazing discount on AppSumo. The best part is signing up is totally free and it takes less than a minute, and if you use the exclusive link in my description box, you can get an additional 10% off of your first purchase on AppSumo. We're talking serious discounts here, people. So whether you're an entrepreneur or a content creator, or you're aspiring to become either one of those, AppSumo is going to be an incredible resource for you for finding discounted software to use in your business. So go check it out today. All right, let's talk about engagement, shall we? In the past on this channel, I have made lots and lots of videos all about engagement tactics that you can use to make sure that you're optimizing your time and really putting in some practical work to increase your engagement rate. And don't get me wrong, these are all important strategies that you can implement and you will see results from them. Things like reaching out to your community through hashtags, through industry leaders in your niche, through responding to all your comments, or finding your new followers in your notification tab and reaching out to them in the DMs. There are so many different ways that you can do this, and I have detailed like all of them, trust me, in my previous videos on engagement. These are all really great ways to take more abstract theories about engagement on Instagram and really put them into practice and make them happen. However, it's not everything. Increasing your engagement rate on Instagram is not just about using things like the $1.80 method or spending a ton of time each day engaging with other people. There's more to it than that. Really, when it comes to growth on Instagram, your strategy is always going to be a balance between the engagement work you do, or the community building, relationship building work you do, and the content that you create. And I think at different stages in your growth, these each are sort of different levels of importance. So while you can check out all kinds of my previous videos for the community building outreach side of things, today I want to talk about the more abstract ideas around content creation, because I really think right now in the current landscape on Instagram, if you want to stand out, if you want to increase your engagement, you're going to have to do it with just amazing content. Honestly, it really just is about making good content. If you asked me, Katie, what's the number one thing that I can do to increase my Instagram engagement, I would say, make good content. And I know that's a really frustrating response to hear, because it's like, well, what is good content? So that is what I want to try to address in this video. We're going to talk about 3 main ways that you can kind of think through and work through yourself what good content is going to mean on your platform and with your audience, because the real honest truth here is no guru can tell you these are the 3 surefire ways to make good engagement-worthy content for Instagram, because it is going to be different depending on the creator and depending on your audience. So all I can do is give you a framework for thinking through these things and for planning and brainstorming your own content. And hopefully these 3 things can kind of give you a starting point for developing that content that not only is going to get you really good engagement, but also just make you feel proud about what you're able to create. And look, I get it. There's a reason why a lot of people don't talk about this in the tips and tricks videos, and that's because it's a lot more intangible. It's hard to pin down, and it's something that just takes a lot of practice and a lot of time and effort to figure out how to make good content. So these are my starting points for you. Number 1 is let your audience get to know you. The more your followers know you and feel like you are a friend to them, the way more likely they're going to be to take time out of their day to comment on your post and engage with you. How can you do this? You can start by frequently sharing stories. So post photos of yourself speaking to your camera, or even just written captions on top of photos of you on your stories as frequently as you can, so that you're constantly showing up in their lives, they're seeing you all the time, and they're seeing a little bit of an insight into your daily life. You can also share more personal and vulnerable stories in your captions. So don't be afraid to open up about your insecurities, about things that you've struggled with in the past, because that's really what brings us together as people, is knowing that we all have weaknesses and we all go through the same struggles. So don't be afraid to kind of show your less than perfect side in your feed content as well. And also, I know this might sound kind of counterintuitive to what we normally talk about on this channel. Don't be afraid to share stuff that isn't completely aligned with your niche every so often. It's definitely important to be consistent and to be providing value in a certain subject area. That's how people are going to come to know who you are and what you're able to offer. People follow accounts when they know what they're going to get out of them. So it is very important to have a niche, whether that's in a subject area or a target audience. But don't be afraid to show a little bit more of a personal side every now and then, and talk about something that kind of makes you you, rather than just what you can provide to your audience. And I do think, I'll be honest, a lot of people kind of start this from the opposite position. So that's why so much of my content on my channel is talking about focus on a niche, focus on how you provide value, because a lot of people wanting to become influencers will just think about, oh, I'm going to talk about my life. And then what they really need to do is share value. But you know, you might be in the position where you kind of swung in the other way and all you do is share value, and people might get to know you better as a human being if you share a little bit more about your life. So for example, that means that I don't just exclusively talk about social media marketing and content creation on my Instagram. I also talk about my van conversion and about fashion and about body image. Now, it's important to know that this is a long-term play. This isn't going to change things overnight. If you create one post where you talk about your insecurities or your personal struggles, you probably will see a lot more engagement on that individual post, but it might not start bleeding over into increased engagement across all of your content just yet. It's probably going to take months of commitment to this strategy to really see people feeling like they know you and committed enough to comment on all of your content and not just those like super vulnerable posts. So just keep at it, keep working on posting on your stories, sharing more of yourself in your feed, and I think eventually over time you will see that engagement rate increase. Number 2, create content that starts a conversation. This is an interesting one because it's a little bit different than just providing value. When I was writing my outline for this video, I initially wrote down provide value, but I was like, no, Katie, it's more than that. Because I really think, in my experience from posting on my Instagram and across all of our clients' Instagrams, there's a difference between providing really great information and providing value and truly starting a conversation or writing something that makes people want to respond to it. Because you can provide all kinds of value that is entertaining or educating, like people can get a lot of information from your post, but it still might not prompt them to actually comment. Think of all the times you've scrolled through like a carousel on Instagram and gotten something from it and maybe even like saved it or whatever because it was super useful, but you still might not feel the need to comment. And that being said, saves and shares, that's all very important parts of engagement too. But in order to get more comments, which is what I think a lot of people struggle with, you need to really start a conversation. All right, so how do we do this? I think that the sort of inclination when you first start with this kind of thing is to just like say sort of like hot takes, controversial stuff, and like that is a way to start a conversation, but it might not always be the best choice either. It's really easy on the internet to like simplify really complex issues into a really like quick sentence or like short quote to put on a graphic, and people will really respond to that because it will incite some kind of emotion for them. And so that's why it works. But I also want to encourage you not to go too far down the clickbaity route or just saying stuff because it's gonna like make people mad. Like that's obviously not a great way to go about things. But what is important when it comes to trying to generate a conversation is that you speak to something that is relevant to people, close to their heart, something that does generate that emotional response, whether it's like, oh, I need to have my piece in this conversation, or I really agree with it. That's how you're really gonna get people to comment, not necessarily just going out and commenting on somebody else's post so they feel obligated to comment back. Like, we need to start conversations that people are interested in having, and I think now more than ever, it's a relevant strategy because so many people are feeling isolated and like we've spent a year outside of our regular communities and our regular friend groups. So let's actually talk and have real conversations on Instagram. And I think that this just takes a lot of effort and thoughtfulness and intention around what kind of conversations would be valuable for your community to be having. So this isn't going to be an overnight strategy. Again, when are any of my tips ever like overnight success strategies? They aren't. It takes a lot of time and a lot of thought, and just think about what is important for my community to be discussing right now and how can I bring it in a way that's going to be enticing and interesting and kind of get that emotional response. Number 3, do something different or unique. I think it pretty much goes without saying, but if you keep posting the same kind of content, you're going to keep getting the same response. So if you're frustrated by not having very many comments, it might be time to start experimenting and trying new things to see what connects best with your audience. And again, this is where the whole conversation around like gurus and Instagram tips videos comes in, because I can't tell you what's going to work with your audience. You can only find that out through experimentation. I can give you the starting point like this, a framework to build from, but the only way you're going to find out what generates the most engagement with your followers is by experimenting. So I want to encourage you, try creating some kind of content that you've never seen anybody make before on Instagram, or try making a kind of content that you've never tried before or that you don't see very often. Try switching up your style. So if you're normally quite produced, like edited sort of Instagram account, try being a little bit more candid. And if you're normally pretty candid and casual, try something a little bit more editorial and planned out. Not only is this good for just stopping the scroll because people will be like, oh, Katie doesn't normally post stuff like that, I wonder what this is. But it's also a good way to really figure out what actually attracts your ideal audience the most. And it's fun. I think it's good to exercise those creative muscles, try out new things, and that way you're also going to find out what you really like to create the most. Obviously, it's ideal to work towards consistency. You want to be known for a certain type of post or a certain subject matter or a certain target demographic that you create for, but the only way that you're really going to hone in on what that should be is by experimenting. So don't be afraid to try something new. And I think it's really great to find inspiration from other creators on different platforms. So maybe you follow somebody on YouTube that has a certain style to their videos that you could maybe try to take that sort of style and represent it in your Instagram photos. Or you could find a podcast that you really like that provides a lot of value and figure out how you can provide that same level of value and intrigue, but in your Instagram posts. Obviously, we don't want to be going around copying other people, but that's why I find finding inspiration from folks on other platforms is a really good way to do it, because inevitably you're not going to be able to directly copy a podcast episode onto Instagram. You're going to have to recreate that sort of vibe in your own way. So I think that's a really great way to find inspiration for new kinds of content. Overall, it's important to just stay encouraged, try new things, and don't be afraid to share yourself with your audience a little bit more. And know that if you're seeing a downturn in your engagement right now, you don't have to feel bad about it. Don't feel like a failure. Everybody is feeling a little bit exhausted with online communication these days. I personally have been feeling a little bit of burnout around Instagram content creation, so you don't have to feel bad. You just have to keep going. Once again, a huge thank you to AppSumo for sponsoring this video. Check them out at the link in my description. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you check out these videos about Instagram tips, because I think that you will find those super valuable as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are having adventures and following your dreams, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.